We had this teacher, greatest teacher again ever of all time, Sharon Gaddis Wheeler. Miss Wheeler was awesome, black lady, hippy dippy era. Uh, she was great. We had her in the second and third grade. She taught us how to, for those of us who didn't already know, we were learning how to sew, how to cook, basic life instruction. She was super huge in the history. And I think she's one of the reasons that I maintain my passion for history and the arts to this day. And we knew about H. Rap Brown, Matthew Henson, Muhammad Ali and his struggles, not the revisionist version history of him. Of course, Jackie Robinson, but we also knew, about Fred Hampton. We really understood. She had conversations with us about Malcolm X when we were conversations should have been exclusive at the time in the school district to Rosa Parks and MLK. Like it should have stopped there. Delving into Mexican history, California history, the transatlantic. There were things that we've learned in the second and third grade that folk didn't pick up until they were in junior high school. But we were blessed to have her presence. The reason she was so successful, not just her ability to listen and care and nurture, just the woman of her. But the dopest part about Mrs. Wheeler was she broke down for us when you would struggle in class. She sat down and she said, I was in the third grade. It was our second straight year with her. No, I didn't get held back. We always joked around and said we were such an amazing class that we were so dope she wanted us twice. So we had her in the second and third grade, and I remember I was having some struggles, not academically, but just emotionally. And she came to me and she said, Augusta, I don't think you have a learning issue. I know you don't. And this is a woman who was preaching about the school to prison pipeline in the third grade, like putting us up on game, telling kids, if you don't do this, they're gonna get you. They have it set up. Like she was tapped in. God rest her soul. And I remember her pulling me to the side, and she told my mother actually. She said, Augusta isn't a bad student. There are some things that he has issues with academically, but I think it's somewhat behavior. But there's nothing wrong with him. They don't need to put him on no drugs. Nothing like that crazy. He's not having those issues. But what I think though is Augusta is very high functioning. He's busy, is what I call it now. When people say, folks would say your kids is bad, she would say busy, not rambunctious, not disruptive, but busy. And I was a busy kid. A lot of 6 to 9, 10-year-old boys are busy. And with all that energy, she said, some kids learn by listening. They can hear it the first time and they've got it. She said, Augusta listens, but he's a tactile learner. He needs to see it. It's got to be tangible. It's got to be there for him. And I remember listening to this conversation with her and my mother, and I was like, wow, she's got it. I am a tactile learner. Like if you physically show me, like don't tell me what the math problem is. 8 times 8. It can't just tell me it's 64. Show me the work. And if you show me the work, I could go through the processes and the steps. And that was applicable not just to 8 times 8, but 8 times 9, 8 times 10, etc., etc., etc. But that was her thing. She understood kids individually, what each one needed to excel and exceed. And I took that from the second and third grade from a teacher where most people would, kind of remember, oh yeah, I had this real cool teacher. We'll remember her forever because of the life lessons that she taught us that were outside of a book. And that life lesson of being an active listener and sitting down and shutting up and processing and seeing what are the steps needed, how do we succeed here? I now apply that to parenting. I can't be the dad that I am for my first natural born daughter. I can't be the same dad for Dalen that I am for Amila because they're two different people. So I have to learn how to show up as who each of my children needs me in that moment individually. Let me say that again, and not just for like a dope TikTok clip, which is going to get chopped. But I want to look and say this again. For you to be an effective and successful parent, to get the best outcomes from your kids or for your kids, you have to show up for who they need individually. You can't be the same dad every single day because they don't need the same dad every single day. Some days they don't need you to be firm or hard or disciplinary. Some days they might literally need you to sit back and hug them and kiss them and tell them it's going to be okay. Some days you don't need to be the affectionate father or the firm father. Sometimes you just got to be the dude that sits back, shuts up, and listens because they just need to vent. If you want to get the best outcome out of your kids, if you want to see your legacy really get legacy in, you have to understand how to listen to them, intentionally listen to them, want to listen to them, not to give them the dad response or the feedback, but listen to them and understand in that hearing them, how do I help them and put on the dad hat that I need for this situation? That's the lesson in many. How many has my father always says to this day, you've got to be a man that wears many hats. Yeah, take one off, put another one on. All right, today you're an electrician because something's going on in the house. Tomorrow, boy, you might have to be the plumber. Today, you're the playful dad. Tomorrow they might do something wrong. You got to put on your disciplinarian hat. You have to be able to pivot to these different roles of fatherhood, even if you have one kid or multiple. How do you successfully pivot and move around to who it is that they need on an individual level? There was a period of time where I would try to father in a way where it was one size fits all. And my fiance calls me on it all the time. And I have to reel back and accept that she's correct. I hope she doesn't watch that part because she's gonna be like, "You said I was right." And there's times where I try to go this one size fits all parenting. I could be firm with all of them all of the time. I could use the tone all the time. And then I realized I can't use the tone all the time. I can't be firm all the time. I can't be soft all the time. I can't be the analytic, this don't add up, this don't track dad all the time. What I have to be all the time is prepared to meet my kid where they are. Hey, what do you need me to be today? And what you're explaining to me and how I'm listening to you. How can I care for you in this moment? And that's it. I told you I was a real coach. You get the doors to the church. You hit the chords. That's the goal. Like I learned this one size fits all daddy and it ain't working. Me treating this one the way I treat this one, the way I treat this one. Sure, I could treat them with love and care and kindness and affection. Yeah, I can treat them all with that. But I can't, I gotta learn, how do I balance this? How do I show up for them individually? This one I know right now I need to be a little firm with. This one, though, I can't apply that same firmness. I need to reel it back. This one, I need to show more love because of whatever feelings of absence or abandonment. I need to work on that. I need to push for that healing. This one over here, all right, I could be analytical. I could kick the numbers. I could give them reasoning and explanation. They're good with it. But having the mindset of I'm not fixed in my thoughts. I'm not fixed in how I view things with these kids. I need to understand how do I effectively and affectionately care for them individually so that at the end of the day, I'm not trying to, fit a round peg into a square hole as a father, trying to figure out what's the hole you need dad to fill and how do I fix it and how do we work through this. So that's my lesson and my challenge to all of you this week. Understand that whether you have one kid, three kid, five, if you got double digit children, I'm gonna pray for you. Go before the Lord for you because you got double digit children. My Lord. But all jokes aside, there's my challenge to you this week. When your kid comes to you with an issue or a problem or a pain or a hurt or a conflict, really listen to them. Listen to understand. Listen to want to provide a resolution. And if you're somebody who's I always am emotional, I cry with my kid, dad, listen to see if they need you to be that or they need to change. The real challenge in this isn't just the listening to your kid. The real challenge in this is understanding that you need some work, because if you can't pivot and be who they need individually in every one of those moments, if you're the super emotional dad and they need you to be firm for direction, you need to learn how to do that properly. If you're the firm, hard dad, you need to learn how to sit back. Even speaking to myself, sit back, take a breather, give that hug, give that kiss, give that affirmation. It's not one size fits all. You got to learn how to be an individual daddy and show up for who it is they need. That is how to get your legacy. I've been Augusta Foster. This has been the Man Talk Monday podcast. By all means, continue to tap in each week on these releases. Download everywhere. Watch on YouTube on the Man Talk Monday channel. Peep the lives or the replays on Instagram. And that's it. I love y'all. I appreciate you. God bless. Have a good week. And of all, be well. Peace.